36 governor seats are on the ballot across America, and Republican candidates are looking to Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin to put them over the top. Youngkin won in a state that President Biden had carried by 10 points. He flipped that blue seat red. His main campaign focus was education and parental rights, also understanding parents' outrage over school lockdowns. Youngkin is now stumping mostly in states Biden won, including Arizona and Oregon. He has this message about the Democratic Party.
They are agents of chaos. Everything they do makes it worse. They're trying to stay in power. That's what they're doing. It's your moment to take back your state, to take back your schools, to take back your cities, to take back your law enforcement, and to make a statement that, just like in Virginia, will be heard around the world.
Youngkin's words echoed in a new op-ed titled "The Biggest Midterm Issue, Chaos." Dan Henninger writes, "I don't recall another recent midterm when so many issues were filtering through voters' minds. Crime, abortion, recession, energy prices, the border, schools, Ukraine, and not least, Joe Biden." And with midterms just 19 days away, the Real Clear Politics average of polls finds only 1/4 of Americans believe this country is headed in the right direction. In focus now, we welcome Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin. Great to see you. First of all, talk to me about that message that you're carrying on the stump, and which part of it do you think hits Democrats squarely?
Well, of course, it's the same message that voters last year in Virginia spoke so loudly about, which is they're tired of the chaos. They're tired of chaos in their economic and financial life, where inflation is quietly stealing their hard-earned money. They're tired of their schools being in a state of chaos, where they were shut unnecessarily for an extended period of time. Their kids suffered, and parents have been shut out of their kids' lives, and they're tired of crime in their cities, where, in fact, the progressive liberal Democrats have done nothing but make things worse. And so this is what Virginians stood up last year and spoke loudly about. I see it happening across the nation, and I think this is going to be a big moment for Republican gubernatorial candidates to win states that Joe Biden had won, and those Republicans that are running in states that have seen the benefit of having a Republican governor will re-elect those Republican governors.
So I'm curious to know, what are the conversations that you're having with those Republican candidates for governor on the ground in terms of fixing some of the things that are going on in some of their states where cities are led by Democrats? I want to know what that looks like, because there's going to be a lot to fix.
There's a ton to fix. Listen, let me tell you from personal experience. We came in on January 15th, went to work on day one. We issued over a dozen executive actions and executive orders, filed over 50 bills, put in budget amendments, and went to work. And that's what each one of these new Republican governors in these states that have been led so poorly by Democrat governors are going to have to do. And it is everything from reestablishing standards of excellence in schools, not watered down expectations, but high expectations. It's supporting students who have suffered from the worst learning loss than people could possibly imagine. We've seen decades of progress lost. It's back in the blue, just like we're doing in Virginia with our bold blue line initiatives to recruit and more cops and pay them more and recruit prosecutors. And it's recognizing that the cost of living is so challenging to Virginians and Americans today, and we have got to get the cost of living down. Governors have a huge impact here, and that's why I think we're going to see Republican governors elected across the nation.
Well, and we've got so much crime that's running rampant. I mean, you can have that leadership at the top and really make a difference. I look at New York here, and if they had somebody in that governor's seat, they've got a Democratic mayor here, Eric Adams, and our stabbings are up 41% in the subway system. I mean, that leadership at the top really does matter. Governor, you were just talking about it. You made education, parents' rights, a central theme of your campaign. New Fox polls show now that issue among parents is second only to inflation. Now, there's no way you could have known that this is where we would be, but this is where we are. And when it comes to curriculum, parents are most concerned about book banning, a very second close, not having enough to say about their own children's education, something you were just talking about. And despite what we've learned from your victory, a Democratic bill in your state is proposed at making it illegal against the law for parents not to affirm their child's gender identity. How is that playing out? What's happening?
Well, first of all, let me just tell you, it should not be a surprise to anybody that education is one of the top issues in voters' minds. It's not a Republican issue. It's not a Democrat issue. It's a parent issue. And this cuts across all political divides. And we've seen it around Virginia and across the nation that when it comes to making decisions for their children, parents know they have a fundamental right to do this. And what we've seen from the progressive liberals is a systematic approach to push parents out of their kids' lives and replace them with bureaucrats, to replace them with politicians. And parents are saying, no, we've had enough. And one of the most amazing things is the consistent transparency that the progressive liberals show at their true agenda. And every now and then it comes out. It came out last year when my opponent affirmed everyone's suspicion that parents shouldn't have a say in what's being taught in school. And now we see legislators in Virginia be transparent again and say they don't think parents should have a right to say what happens to their children and should be prosecuted as a result of it. You know, voters are standing up and saying, well, I suspected that, but now it's confirmed. And I think we're going to see education continue to be a huge role until we get this turned around. And, you know, we're turning it around in Virginia. We empowered parents to make decisions with masks, with curriculum. We're empowering parents to make decisions with these most important issues in their children's lives. We passed a literacy act. We funded record amounts into education. We did give teacher raises. We can fix this, but it all gets back to a fundamental belief that parents matter. They have a primary role in making these decisions, one that will not be supplanted by bureaucrats and politicians. And oh, by the way, you have to have high expectations for children. We can lift the ceiling and the floor, and that's what we're doing in Virginia.
Well, and that gender identity conversation that's going on in your state is happening everywhere. So I would imagine that also becomes part of what you take on the stump. Look, nothing succeeds like success. So when you touch down for these fellow Republicans, they're not just looking for you to endorse and to stump and all that. Being able to tout where things have worked is also really helping. Let me just tell you how we know. It's not just Arizona and Oregon. You've been to New Mexico, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Nebraska. You're crisscrossing the country. Last few words.
Well, we're seeing great reception for the clear message for Republican gubernatorial candidates, but we're also seeing it in Virginia. I've got 20 stops for our congressional candidates. Ooh. Jen Kiggins in the 2nd, Yesli Vega in the 7th, and Hung Cao in the 10th to make sure that plane ticket home, that plane ticket home for Nancy Pelosi is actually purchased by Virginians and handed by our new Republican congressional candidates that already joined the ones that are there.
How about that? 20 stops for congressional candidates. Appreciate your time today. I know it's a very busy time for everybody, 19 days away, and we appreciate you taking time out from the stump for everybody in your party to talk about these issues that you won on. Thank you, Governor Youngkin.
Thank you. God bless you.
God bless you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.